everybody who's expected to be here tonight. So first of all, thanks to everybody for coming. So my name is Lynn. I've met, I think, most people, but Ron, we haven't met. Lynn. We'll do some introductions so everybody has a chance to meet each other, but we usually start with the pledge, so I thought we'd start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we can jump into some introductions. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So really, I want to say thanks for being here tonight, and more importantly, thanks for agreeing to serve on this committee. We're really, really excited to have this work together. Before we do anything, I'd love to just do some introductions so everybody knows who's here. I'll pass out a copy of tonight's agenda. On the second page of the agenda, there's actually a list of everybody who's here, so you don't have to furiously write down names. The names are all there. You don't have to do anything elaborate, but if you would be willing just to do a little introduction, your name, anything you want to share about yourself, how long you've been in the township, anything. And I would just love to hear that aside from Kristen and I badgering you, what drew you to say yes and to serve on this particular committee? And hopefully we didn't have to badger you too much. So I'll start out. Again, my name is Lynn Viscio. I'm a member of Plymouth Township Council. I am on my third year, my first term on council. What drew me to the concept was I think the township, I think we do so many amazing things. And I think lots of people are interested, and I think there's sometimes just a gap between what people would like to hear and what they're finding or hearing. So just let's go
Go down the line.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Kristen Frederick Leonard. I am new to Plymouth Township Council. This is my first year. And I was interested in this mostly because I get some questions about that people can't find things on the website, or a meeting was changed and I didn't know about it, and I feel like we could just do a little bit better at that.
My name is Stephanie Battaglia. I've pretty much lived in Plymouth Township my whole entire life, except when I went to law school. Those were the only few years I did not live within Pennsylvania. Kristen got me into this. I've known Kristen for over 20-some years, and basically just creating more awareness in the community of the events and everything that are going on. I have 3 young children, so staying up to date would benefit us as well.
My name is Al Ronderos. I've lived in Plymouth Township since 1989. I got involved politically, I guess, in 2020, really for the first time in my life. I was asked to serve on the committee. It turns out I have some background which is applicable. I spent 20 years as a software developer, and part of what I did was related to usability and what they call human factors engineering. So I do have some pertinent background, and hopefully I can be of some help.
Thanks, Al.
Dawn Gaffney, been in Plymouth for over 15 years. 2 kids have gone through colonial schools. Lynn called and said, you were somebody I thought would do well in this committee. So we're service-oriented, driven, want to do anything to help the community, bring everybody together. So here we are.
Yeah, that's what I'm catching on. Thank you.
Just a little slide in there.
Yeah, Sonia Pinkney. I've been a resident of Plymouth Meeting for 11 years now. I have 3 children, all enrolled in the district from high school through kindergarten. I'm here because Kristen shared this opportunity with me. I am someone that's really passionate about information sharing, and so I just wanted to be a part of doing that, sharing what's going on in the community with residents that we're all so busy. So it's just good to be able to help get the word out.
Hi, I'm Sandy Grunfeld. Lynn is a friend of mine from pickleball and asked me to join this advisory committee, so I was happy to do that. I've been a resident here for over 50 years. My husband and I brought up two wonderful sons who went through all the schools here, and are now not living in Plymouth anymore, but somewhere else. And I'm happy to be a part of this to generate some information that we're doing out to the community, which I think is something needed.
I'm Phil Brady with the Parks and Recreation Department, and I've been with the department since 1989. So, and I'm here to listen and hear what we can do to keep the communication going.
Hello, excuse me, Ronald Plant. I've been in Plymouth a while. It's been since '98 or something like that. Two daughters have gone through, two daughters have gone through the school system. We have one now that's in 10th grade. Kristen brought the opportunity to me, and to be honest, what interests me is that I'm the opposite. Like, I'm very not into the communication type thing, so I figure I can help in some ways reach the person like me that may not be on top of things but still need to get the information. So I'll be coming from that blind spot, like, oh, didn't even know that was happening.
I'm with you on that. My name is Karen Weiss. I'm the township manager here in Plymouth. I'm in my 30th year working for the township. I was actually born here, but mostly grew up in White Marsh. But I've been back living in Plymouth for over 42 years. I guess what kind of drew me to it was that we were ready to replace our website, and we had approached council about, was this in the budget? We got a couple quotes. We got a firm. We looked at neighboring townships' websites, and there were some aspects of certain websites that people liked. We were just about to got a quote. Came back to council. Can we do this? And then it was like, hey, wait, maybe we should stop and get some input and make sure that the new website's going to give us what we want it to give us, like be able to push messages out as far as that goes, not just go there and look stuff up, and maybe make it a little more interactive. So that's why I'm here.
Chris Monero. I actually just finished my 2 terms on Plymouth Council. I thought I was out, and then they brought me back in. Thanks, Lynn. But my interest, when I was on council, we were always trying to find ways to make sure that we were sort of like ahead of the narrative, and that we were controlling, to make sure that people were getting accurate information. So everything from the website to our social media, to whatever we need to do in the absence, particularly of local media, to make it easier for residents to get information. So I look forward to providing whatever experience I can to help in that discussion.
I'm Brandon Strong. I'm with the IT department at Plymouth Township. Been here about 5 years now, so I've gotten to understand the ecosystem and the community a little bit more. And I think originally, I definitely have like a really passion for community and just like interpersonal relationships. So being able to leverage technology, which is another one of my passions, to bridge the gap between the township and the community is fascinating. We live in a very unique time when all this technology is available to us. You as a software developer know that the technology is amazing. And beyond just like website and social media, as the IT department, we can use the government access channel and other types of content to deliver messages to news and events to the township. So I'm on board for that, so I hope I can help the committee find solutions.
Brandon also goes by the alias Len Hess, if you looked at your list. My apologies to Brandon. I thought
Len was going to be here.
I
right?
thought Len was going to be here from IT tonight. So
Yeah.
Brandon's a very capable substitute for him. It is not his alias.
I think he was going to come to the first meeting, but then I think, did he ask you to come to more
Yeah.
of these meetings?
Yeah.
So we can actually change the Len Hess to Brandon.
Okay, so we'll make that permanent. And welcome and sorry.
No, that's okay.
All right,
Thank you.
so one of the things I want to set the stage for as we come together tonight and the meetings that follow is like, I do not want this to be like a presentation of any sort. Like, I hope that Kristen and I aren't doing all the talking. Like, really, I'd like to set the stage by talking a little bit about like what the expectations are for the committee, so that there's no mystery around like what the heck did I just sign up for and what are we supposed to do. But then literally, like, I'd like to stop doing most of the talking and start actually just having the group engage and interact and kind of work on some things together.
So if that sounds okay, I'll just take a few minutes to set the stage, and then I'll stop yapping, and you guys can start talking to each other. Does that sound good?
Good.
All right. So I promise this is the only other piece of paper that I'll burden you with tonight. So when we pulled the committee together, we said there were a few things we wanted to do. So this is the expectation for like responsibility. So you know, what the heck did I sign up for? This is what we think you signed up for. Although I would say, if you look at this list and you're like, wait a second, if the committee decides like this isn't quite right, there's something missing, or we think we should do something a little bit differently, I think I probably speak for both of us, like we're open to that. But this is the game plan that we thought made sense for a group coming together for a 6-month term. First of all, I would love this group to wrestle with the question, like, what actually are the communication goals for the township? I mean, other than let's enhance the way we communicate with our residents, which obviously, right? Like literally, like, what does that mean? Like, what are we actually trying to do? I would love for all of you to figure that out tonight. Like, let's come up with something that is kind of like our North Star. Like, this is the goal. This is what we're trying to get to. And then everything kind of follows the North Star. If we all agree that this is what good communication from the township looks like, then we decide, like, how do we get there? What mediums do we need? Does that work? Is that a good idea? Is that not a good idea? So everything would flow from that. So we'll start with that tonight, if everybody agrees. And stop me anywhere. I thought the other thing that we should do sort of early on is to actually together inventory, like, what does the township currently do? We stuff things in sewer bills. Like, what else do we do? Like, how do we communicate with people? Like, let's take an inventory of that. And then ultimately we have to decide if those things work. Again, kind of looking at the North Star, here's where we're going. Do these things work? And if they work, great, let's do more of it. If they don't work, let's replace them or stop doing them. And that's also for the committee to decide, right? So let's look at what currently exists. Let's look at what works. Let's look at what works elsewhere, right? Like if Whippane does something fabulous or White Marsh does, like by all means, like why would we start with a blank piece of paper? Like let's learn from other similar municipalities. And then I would love to see this group kind of develop a strategy. Like, what is the plan, other than just saying, let's enhance our website? And I'm not saying we would have done that, but like, what's the plan? Like, what's the communication strategy to keep people informed on an ongoing basis, to know whether or not we're doing a good job? Like, how do we actually know if what we think is working is working? So I'd love for the group to come up with a plan and help us think about how we track it and maintain it. And if we need resources, let's figure out what those are. So that's kind of like, in an overarching way, what we were hoping the committee would tackle. So let me just ask, like, does that terrify anybody right out of the gate? Are you like, no, that sounds great? Or you could run for the door, grab your chicken farm and just keep going.
We're still sitting here, it's all good.
All right. I mean, any questions about that? Does it seem like it makes sense? I mean, just at a quick blush, like anything missing?
I have a question.
Please.
So you said there was Karen, I think, said that there was a company that has already done some preliminary work of some sort. Did I misunderstand, or what is that?
Nothing's been signed with any company. That, of course, you know.
Did they make any sort of proposals or anything
We have
like
a
that?
quote. We have a quote or two.
Basically, we're looking way to elevate our website, and we believe that looking at other municipalities, a lot of them are going with certain vendors, and the website just looks new and fresh. It has a lot of functions that would actually help our cause and get the word out and automate some processes so it's less phone calls and such. Everything can be found in a bite-sized on the website. So that's basically what we're attempting to do with the website. We don't have any real timelines yet or anything.
But there's not a formal proposal or anything like that?
Well, there is, but I know that the quote won't be good it's probably no good now. It's probably
Okay.
in 30 days, Yeah. So in 6 months, it's definitely not going to be any good.
Yeah,
So,
right.
and, we're not obligated to that company. It was just a company, the salesmen come in and they talk to you and they tell you, and then they give
Well,
you a
I'm
quote.
just
right?
I'm
But
just wondering if there was some
we're
sort
not locked
of
into anything.
some sort of
We're-
proposal made or
No,
something.
it's a fresh
Something.
slate.
Okay.
Fresh
All right.
slate, yeah.
So, and that's one of the things we'd like the group to help us figure out. Like, this was what we were thinking, this direction we were moving in with a website. Good idea, not a good idea? Should we look at something else? Did we find a website in Abington that's fabulous and we should look like that? I mean, we're open to sort of that exploration, so we're not tied to anything.
Yeah, nothing.
But we know we have a budget to create a new website, to enhance our website. So you don't have to, like, convince us to find dollars to do that. That's already done. Now it's just a matter of what does that look like?
But Well, but you're saying the budget is to not just enhance the website, but enhance the communication that we're coming together with? Or is the budget just for the website? Like that narrows the scope then?
I don't know what the number, the dollar number is. This idea is relatively new, so this idea is not in the budget. But you know, say we want a new digital sign, which I love, at the township building. That's a nod, but that's. I don't just say I like digital signs. They're gaudy, but everybody has one. Everybody has one.
Right.
Everybody loves them. And
White Marsh has theirs right on the corner of
Yeah.
Germantown and Joshua.
I know. Well, Whit Payne has theirs up
Yep.
at 73, but they don't have it at the entrance to the township building.
Right.
They have a huge
Yes.
parcel there.
Yep.
But anyway, they're not my favorite thing. But I spent time as a zoning
But
officer.
I
doing
found a way we
signage.
could get one for free and get paid for having it, so pass that on to Karen for me.
Okay, for later. But
Always something up this
if
sleeve.
we wanted, say
I like
we wanted
digital
one,
signs, too.
you know,
Right.
then we'd probably either find the money in the budget or we'd put it in the budget in the fall and we could get it by early 2025.
Gotcha.
Generally how things work, you know, if it's depending on, because those digital signs
We
can be
also have two
very
of them because
expensive.
we have the
the one
we
up
have the
here.
ones at the firehouses too.
And for those who don't know, we have 15% of the time on the Plymouth Meeting Mall sign we're allowed to use for community messages. So if you ever saw Plymouth Little League up there or sign up for this or that or something, it's because that was a deal that was struck when they got their sign, that 15% of the airtime could be township community stuff. And I think also Plymouth Square Shopping Center.
We
some
haven't
stuff
used
over there.
that one as
But we
much,
have used them
but
all.
we use them all. They're
And
very.
then that was all
very
before we
good.
got our own sign, and then
Yeah.
we have our own sign. just
Germantown
another way.
and the
But
entrance
yeah,
with
so
the
you
ones
know,
that
that's
are
something you
Yeah.
could put at the township building. It would help if, you know.
So to answer your question, I mean, ultimately, the group can come up with recommendations if something is not budgeted. So the website enhancement is budgeted. If the group comes up with like, you should do X, Y, and Z, and none of those are budgeted, then it's up to you to put it in front of council and for us to figure out if we can fund it. So I'd say nothing is off limits or out of scope. It's just a matter of put it out there, and if we can fund it, we will.
Gotcha.
Just in terms of timeline, we did say 6 months. Our thought was this group would get together every 6 months. Probably every month for 6 months. If you decide we should come together more often, every third week, or an in-between Zoom call, I mean, that's up to the group to decide. But the thought was probably at least a monthly meeting. Any thoughts, reactions to that?
I think that's a good time frame for now, until we figure it out and start diving into other things. Once we get deeper into projects, maybe it's a Zoom call in between, maybe it's not, but I think it's a good starting point.
Yep. Okay. In terms of resources, we talked about the fact that there's budget available for website enhancement, other resources. Phil's very humble. One of the other reasons he's here is, as the director of the community center, he does a fabulous job. He and his team do a fabulous job communicating.
Team being the critical word.
Yeah. No, I mean, the GPCC, I think, does an amazing job of getting the word out about events.
Constant contact. Use every day.
And Canva.
And so he's also, I think, a tremendous resource for some of that. If we wonder, how do they do such a great job? He's a resource to ask. And Karen is also too humble because she knows anything about anything in the township. I mean, honestly, anything we've tried or done or what's worked and what hasn't. So she's a tremendous resource. We have an IT resource. So
Tremendous
a
IT.
tremendous
thank
IT.
you.
So I mean, there's
Yeah,
a
he
lot
knows.
of resources
Great.
at
Yeah.
the table. The role I hope that Kristen and I play is sort of as an active and working member of the committee, and also as a liaison to council. So if there's something midpoint that you're like, what do you think council would think of? We can carry that back and have some of those conversations. But we'll do whatever we need to do and you'd like us to do in terms of helping to facilitate, keep things moving. But we'd also like to be actively engaged, working members of the committee as residents. What else? Anything else you're wondering before we sort of jump in? Does that kind of feel like some
I do
good
have a
level setting?
question
Yeah.
on metrics. Do we have any numbers around utilization or clicks on various parts of
That's a good
the site?
question, yeah.
We do for our Facebook, for the community center, and I can bring that to another meeting, because we compete with other recreation departments. Facebook does that for free, so it'd be like, okay, the Westchester had 100 views, and we had 98.
Yeah.
And before the COVID, we did a lot with that.
Okay.
They give that to you, because you can boost too, and then it sees if your boost is worth it. So
Okay.
I can speak for what we do keep track of that. Like, we don't use Twitter as much,
Yeah.
but Instagram, we get a lot on. So
Mm-hmm.
I think what I find fascinating is what content, what do people want to see? Because, I mean, to be honest with you, a lot of what the township does and all townships do is boring. You know?
Hey.
Well, I mean, we're picking up the trash, you know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And if you don't
If
pick
it's
the
a
trash,
holiday.
if you don't pick the trash up, then
You're all about it.
So I mean, like zoning, people don't think about that. So what is it as the residents would make, like, what do you want to see? You know, I mean, we have it easy because people want to see kids painting and people
Right.
playing pickleball, right?
Right.
And little guys running around. But like, what is it that they do at the township building to people? And the holidays are a big one. Because man, when the township holidays on a Monday, the phone rings at the community center. How come you're not coming to get my trash? So,
Right.
and that's fine, you know.
Right.
But like, I get that. But I'm curious, what is it people want to know?
Well, that's a great segue,
Yeah.
Phil, right? Because one of the first thing I'd love us to wrestle with is kind of like, what is the communication goal? Like, what are we
Right.
trying to accomplish in this? Aside from, let's enhance communication, or let's make it easier for people to find things, like, what does that really mean? Like, what are we talking about? So what I would love for us to do, rather than just like, bat it around in a big square, is like, just find two people. And what I'd suggest is, like, I'd like to see us, like, the township people, not together. Like, let's integrate. 3 people, grab a flip chart page, grab a pen, and let's spend the next 10 or 15 minutes, like 3 people just work together, like get some ideas on paper. Nothing has to be wordsmith. This is not like a mission statement for Apple. This is like literally just get some ideas down. Like, what are we talking about when we say we want to be better at communicating or enhance our communication? What's the
Are
goal?
people shutting out? I'll write. It's not that good of a handwriting, but
No,
I
okay.
can go
Oh,
up
no,
there and
she's
do
saying
it.
group up with
Yeah, but
people.
Just in threes.
Just
Yeah.
3s, and each 3 is going to grab a flip chart sheet,
Paper?
which I can help. There's pens there.
Oh, that's what-
Just find a space on a table and just let's get some ideas down.
Really? I don't know how. I wonder if he knows my dad. Such familiar.
Of course you know someone.
And anyone named Ron.
Where's your husband? Point out that you know.
So you can work on any of the side towns in Rutland, wherever you want to go.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. How did that?
There were 3? You guys,
Why don't we just count off of
Blue, all right?
Alright. Yeah, she knows me. Kristen and I. How many times have we talked today alone, Kristen? I think every 27 minutes we talk today.
Come on over.
All right.
I'll grab us a pen.
Okay.
Actually, I was thinking.
I have a pen.
What do you want me over here? Sure, here, come with us. Awesome.
Okay.
But
I don't know what, I don't know.
I got a bum shoulder right now.
That's fine.
We're good.
Okay, so now I know what we're talking
I
about.
was right. I wrote notes
Right,
down.
I got a pen. Oh, you got a pen? All right. Yes, ma'am. So,
We got 4 here.
We're gonna do the writing.
what is it that people want to know?
Well, I'm curious because you're someone that you said that you're kind of out of you're not that, which is not a bad thing. For some people who are like,
What the process
I
I don't have a landline. I never get a phone call either.
So, there we go, number
would
1.
you say
Landline.
what kind of
If you don't have a landline, you're not getting information.
content would you want to see that would like kind of grab your eye, that would stick out? Maybe you
Okay.
a resident of
99.999% of people have cell phones, so text messages.
Right.
Why don't we answer
Texting.
text message this one?
and I don't know if this would be like
The
the
problem, the thing about texting, it could be,
text.
Yeah.
it could be too much.
It has to be, right, just like very
more
strict and to the point, right, like trash day, like, you know what I mean, like trash day, or if like there's an emergency.
So if I'm looking at it, if I go to the website,
It is an important notification.
That we need, like schools have it, if school goes on a lockdown, they shoot out a mass text. And one of the companies that does the mass text is called Remind. R-E-M-I-N-D.
All right, that's a good.
So,
but let me
now-
take a step back.
So what are you thinking about calling people?
And I have to do
Does that happen now? I don't think I've
So
done
like
it.
if there's
Or is it
a snow
from a
emergency
political
route, they'll
Okay.
call. And I only know that because if I'm at my mom and dad's, they still have the same phone number since I was in womb. They get the
Still was
notification.
good for me.
I don't.
I think,
But
I know my husband gets the cell, I might get the cell now, but I think you had to go into the website, you had to choose to change it, you had to put your cell phone number in, like, it was a big thing.
Now,
So
does
I'm
that
like,
work for renters as opposed to somebody who owns a
no, I
house?
haven't done it in a while, because we used to get the messages like in the winter, like, you know, it's no emergency, make sure you park in the driveway.
Correct.
But for the longest time, he would get, I'm like, how are you getting these messages? I'm not getting them, what's happening? Like, why is it on your phone and not mine? And so, but I think it was a little complicated, especially for people that don't know how to go into that. Yeah, like they're used to the landline, so they have to make it so they can all
So
access
then
it.
maybe.
Let me just share my experience, because I've had, I used to work on software for the last 20 years. I had and I would get calls all the time from Upper America.
Right.
Warning about something going on. Which I don't know how they got my number, it was probably from the person before. So I mean, just, that's another problem to the integrity.
I say no.
And so we'll remind help
It's
with the
not, you know,
integrity.
it's not for the business, it's not for businesses, you know what I mean?
Well, it's gotta be somebody like an IT person that's shooting
Hard
it
to,
out.
Oh, you mean
hard to
like
keep those
they
lists
want
current.
to use,
Right, well,
Are you doing that?
For their own business or
Or
profit,
going
and I say
to-
no. You know, like,
yeah, so I would say opt-in is good. But like, I know when my mom opens her mail, like, because she said in the, like, when putting something in the sewer bill, like, rips it open, throws it out. Like, I don't even know if she looks at it because she's got so much mail.
Oh, yeah, I know, it's like there's so much junk mail.
It's junk, right?
I don't get them by mail anymore.
Well, you know, I
I do
wish
get
they
the
did.
community newsletter, I get that.
Like, I'm here every day, so I like, it's different for me. I walk in, I pick it up, and walk down the street.
And then you press
But
accept,
like,
sign me up,
you know,
and every time we push
just for
an
me to pay
update,
the
it goes to the
sewer
phone. And I think that, because everyone has a phone, everyone has a smartphone these days.
Here's, I'm just gonna say this out loud, I won't pay for mine, I won't pay the $2.25, whatever it is, so I bring it over here. Which my husband goes, no, it's gonna cost you more money in gas. I'm like, that's not the point, the point is, if it's convenience, I'm not paying the convenience fee.
Right, I understand.
I'm so jealous. You guys have sewer.
Less severe, but just one thing is that township meetings tonight.
Another day.
Sorry. I couldn't help it.
So I would like to see what
This
So-
is, you don't know that, this has been a ongoing.
I'm sure.
I feel like
So
most
like,
things are Facebook.
another thing, and this is, I guess, more like a personal level, is
Yeah, I mean, everyone has a smartphone pretty
had a
much.
bunch of needles.
Whether you have Facebook and social media or you browse the internet,
We called the
you use text.
the police.
yeah, like
There's less
I
reluctance to receive text. You're not really even doing it.
So,
exactly. And I
You don't have to
feel
do it.
so
at
like,
some
after
point
she's
during that day,
done,
you'll,
she would have to give herself
You'll
5
go
needles
through
a
your
day, and I don't mind
phone
telling her
and
meals
see it.
here, because now it's like she's open about
you
it.
were
Yeah, it's like, it was a mental draining process, maybe you'll be here in 14 days, like, finally.
We're gonna
But
get,
she
if
have
I
to
was
give
more on
herself 5
Facebook,
needles a day.
possibly, but like
And then
a
she has
text,
all the
and that
sponges, and
reminder
she's like,
that
Stephanie,
day,
what do I do with them? And I'm like, you can't just throw them out, because what if
This would be in your Facebook.
Medical.
That's why
somebody's
I was
going
just
through
thinking,
your,
when you
but
mentioned
as long as
you
they're in
provide
the red
meals,
waste
I think
bin,
you do
those
want to
bins
provide
can't be
those
open, you throw them in the
right
trash.
now.
That was new to us, like,
But
so
relevant
stuff
to
like that is very important too, and I don't know if that's like something that the doctor's office should communicate, but I feel like that's big because, what do we call it, medical supplies?
I'm trying to wait. Yeah, that's
So we have
that was a hard word.
code red.
Thanks.
That's
But like,
yeah,
to call, I mean, I'm telling you,
That's
we
something-
called a bunch of people and nobody had any idea, and I was like, well, can we just get it straight?
That's something that can be part of a website.
Yeah,
You know,
because
these
that's
are-
a great point. I think it's so get rid of litigation. And I don't I call here, and they're like, well, we don't do anything. Well, who do I call? Who does it? What do you want me to do with all these? Like, it's from Thursday. It's like, I need to get rid of them.
Even car seat installation, like,
Yeah, and they were
first
like,
time parents.
I went to the police station. They actually guided me in the right direction. I went to the police station, and they gave me a bag.
Because that's a real
And
thing.
then the
That's
bag was like
something
red
that a
mail,
lot
so
of
it
these
totally gets sealed.
a lot of these other vendors, they're actually
Are you sure?
websites. So
Right,
But like-
but I think the medical, like, we can bring that up, the needles and the medical leads, but that would be a great link on the website, like, you have to get.
Yeah, well, I
you can literally get granular and you can
Car seat,
Because
because I was nervous wreck.
Is it like how to do your car
Yeah,
seat?
how to, but you can't leave the hospital unless it's installed, right? And they come out and check. I had 3 kids in 3
that's all
years,
out
yes.
there.
They walk you out and look at your car if you do not have a car seat.
I have 20 in 32. But I remember having to have a car seat though, like they would make sure you had a car seat. Did they make sure it was installed right? Probably not, thanks for
Now
that.
they do, they come out.
Okay.
But like, that's just like first time parent nerve wracking. Where can I go to have somebody look at this and make sure it's
And I think the police station would appreciate not getting these phone calls if we knew where to go.
exactly.
You know, like, we're not paying, I don't wanna be calling,
Right.
911 emergency, well, I don't have an emergency, but I don't know what to do with. Is it the police officers?
I went, I lived in, we lived in East Orange for literally 6 months and then sold our house and this was built here. And we were driving by the police station, the fire station, kind of where Primo's is, by Steffi's. Okay. And they're like, we don't do it. And I was like, can I call, please? And they were like, sure. We don't do it.
If I show up crying, you're
Yeah,
gonna
like
help
that was
me. Okay,
literally
good.
me crying. So that, like, for, you know, like that kind of stuff, like that, not everybody thinks about that. Everybody has a ability to. So like, that's not that personal level, but like, an older, like, concern, what if we're just, you know what I mean?
There are other reasons though, even like EpiPen, people have to do, like if they have diabetes and you're doing it, like what do you do with your meals? I mean, honestly, is trying to get companies up for it, but that's the trash department, and then one of them gets hurt picking up a bag of meals.
Yeah, right.
They have to, if they're in that red medical treatment, they don't put it in the issue in the trash. You can't open it, you can't take it, and I still, my sister was like, you're like that, she's like, that's either.
But where do you have to get that?
But where do you even get
They gave it to her.
Oh, they gave it to her.
Somebody who came out, gave it to her, but
Okay.
you gotta get another one. So, but still, like, you got somebody who really wants a needle.
It just makes me think she wants to
So,
back and
like,
forth. She
you
wants
know,
to
and then, like, trash pickup and stuff, like, the barge items are on this
it's like
Wednesday.
an ideal relationship.
Like, that stuff too, people need to know about, and like, I just leave a dishwasher
And you
outside
have
of the
to follow
phone
your
street. Right, so, that kind of stuff
Or we
is,
don't create a disconnect.
Yeah, trash pickup policy.
Or just the disconnect can be, I think they have to jump through to get.
Make it a little more general.
Because that's like, when you're just trying to get information.
Yeah, okay.
I'll say it right, I'm sorry.
but like, even, like, for
I
me
think,
and
I think
email,
the text messaging thing is like, that's a really
mail that
big.
I might gloss over it or could go,
That's what I said to Lynn. She's like, do you have communication? I was like, okay, listen, my emails are so out of control that the ones that I get, unless I'm looking for it, I don't need to, like, I really need to do a better job. It's like my email, I know, me personally, but then I don't see it and I'm like, how did I get like this happened, and this missed, and it's like, right, crap, sorry.
So, my personal email is like that?
right,
But business email, I'll be in charge.
right.
Oh, that's on, that's too. I think
It's more
My
like,
husband
I
deletes
actually think it's
every
a nice
single
idea with the.
Every time he gets an email, he deletes.
Relevant.
Meanwhile, there were 42,795 emails.
But it's
One, okay?
It's a big
My husband doesn't have any, but I do, and then it's like, well, how come you didn't know the trash wasn't coming Wednesday?
Well, because 57,000 emails are in there, and I was looking at Michael's, because I'm more about than Chris when I about the trash, so I don't know what to tell you.
But that's the problem.
Okay?
That's the problem.
Yeah,
Or like so much information.
Right, how do you limit it?
That's why if it's in a snippet of a text message, you know, like, it
That's
doesn't have to
actually-
be every.
Right, especially like, you know, you're supposed to, even if you opt in and say, I just want to know when bands are playing in the summer, it's a park, summer park, reminder, blah, 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 bands are playing this from.
Yeah.
Right.
That's an interesting thing, opt
Yeah.
in for events.
Opt in, you can have an event, you can have
Yeah, what is
an
it?
events,
If I'm
emergencies.
Events, emergencies. Well, that gets into parks and recreation. kind of
Right.
stuff. They probably know some things about
But
that.
they're good. I like, you know, I'll see it. But another thing is too that if you'll notice, if you're on like Instagram and Plymouth Township or the community center was the last thing that you looked at, and then you quickly closed your phone, it will disappear, and then all the new stuff comes up. So you might miss it until you scroll way down to see it. So unless like for me, if I'm specifically looking for like the community center because I want to see a picture of my kids when they were on for school, then
Yes, I
I'll
know.
go to it. But yeah, but like I don't really go to the township.
That's the problem with,
if you go from that point of view, you have to be a little.
And then it takes me 20 minutes to find it anyway, and then I'm out.
I went there
And I'm gonna make it.
when this committee was mentioned, I looked around. Spent, spent a half hour looking around.
It was really
I really had.
the serial thing.
But I think it's still.
We still were.
I think so. She asked for some time. Not yet, but yeah. Give us some time. I figured we'd be.
Oh, that's fantastic, thanks.
The thing we
mean,
have
other than
done
that, I
is
don't-
continue to do once we
Yeah,
get
that's
our
good.
system
Everybody
working
else got
is
something. I got enough time.
video on demand. Like
Yeah,
all
we
our
got-
meetings are going to be able to be accessed online.
Well, I
Get
write
back
these
to the
order.
meeting room, and we're gonna be more interactive. There's a video camera rather than just audio. Because right now,
Yeah.
you just listen to
But, like,
audio, you
for
look at
the
thumbnail,
generations
it's not that
coming
interesting.
out.
But once you get back up and running,
Social media and texting is the way to
I was
go.
gonna say, like, I'm
Social
gonna go
media,
home,
yeah.
I'm gonna go home for the kids and be like, if you lived here, what would you wanna know where would you live?
Right.
Like, tell me.
They would look it on their phone somewhere.
Yep, and
I
that's.
think that that's something to put another.
yeah, to do bullet items, it's like have it live,
Yeah.
live stream on cable, and then have the video content on demand. So we put that on Facebook.
But that's something that people have to understand.
Repository on
Yeah.
our website.
Right.
If we do move on.
You have to like it or follow it, and then you get all the notifications.
They have a better way of organizing.
And that's actually,
A lot of these companies.
some ways, I mean,
Words, municipalities, so they know
like
it's the
emails,
thing. Video on
you know,
demand,
they just get
being able to
lost.
photo.
Yeah, they do.
The meetings, the agenda.
Like our teacher this morning, we have a field trip on Friday.
There's a lot of things.
She's like, I'm sorry, I sent it, it went into space. She goes, so none of you received
Yeah, it's all.
permission slip. Okay, well, the field trip's in 2 days, so, like, she's like, bring it back tomorrow. I'm like, okay, but that it happens. And then, like, you get distracted or something, but like, at least if it's in your phone, which is always with you.
Mom, I need that smartphone.
Yeah, like,
Gotta get it out.
some kind of notification system like that.
The other thing is the activities that are like around the community center.
Right.
You know, like just the other day, I'm not a very good swimmer.
If it's YouTube, it's I think ecosystem. I think it's all.
Right. Everything's right in that pamphlet that they give out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably all hooked up.
I mean, I didn't do it because I didn't ask anybody because I was here. I mean, I was
It's right on the front, on the front.
Okay.
They hand out as a packet, it's like this thick, and it's in there. And there is all of the events that they're gonna have here at the community center. And there is like the swim lessons if you want swim lessons, or all of the classes that are offered here for the fitness center. All of the kids classes, like they've got princess or hero like all that kind of stuff. You don't know that.
This could be promoted for free.
Right, well, they do email it too, from the community center. So, okay, well, then there you go.
Yeah.
Right, so that would be, there you
Goes into the
go.
void,
Right,
into the list, you know, it's just like there's 25 new things every day.
my email,
Every day.
I don't even know where it says it, like, I don't even look
My
at
business
it.
account was getting away, and it was affecting,
I don't even know where it
and
is.
it was like, I had to adjust
If it
to
stays,
make it
yes,
the
if
whole
it doesn't,
project,
no.
to just clean it out, it's been like, dang.
I can't, like, my mail, 130,000 emails.
All anonymous.
Yeah, well,
Stay right there too. Here you go.
All right, so here's what I'm thinking we can do with this. And it sounds like there was some very vibrant conversation happening along the way.
okay.
So there's nothing to say that any of this is like a final product, but hopefully this will start to kind of solidify our thinking around what is this thing we're shooting for. When we say we're going to spend 6 months enhancing communication, what is that really about? What does that start to look and sound and feel like? So I think it might be helpful if each group was willing to just give us a little walkthrough on your ideas. And then I think it'll be helpful if we want to like earmark things and we're like, that's brilliant, let's not lose track of that. Let's also earmark things that, like, look at that, it's across all 4 sheets. We said something that sounds just like this. So I'm happy to do some of the marking.
I was gonna like, I'm not reading, but
Yes,
we'll
good
start.
for you. All right.
As long as you don't make me know, I can write stuff too. Whatever.
All right,
This
so
is not mine, but I'm good.
Who's
Like,
Team Blue? Yeah, so you want to just would somebody want to
All right.
talk us through?
Yeah, like, I could just read from here, and if you have questions or if I think of something to elaborate on, I will. But we were thinking, one, I think the key is to provide relevant information. But what I think we realized too in providing that relevant information would be the concept of perhaps using different automation that will notify via text. Because like I was saying, I'm probably more a text person than email or any of the social platforms. So that's where we came up with the notification for texting. And then, the ability for granular specific activity kind of goes with the ability to sign up, that if we had a website, someone could log into the website and get information or updates on things that they're specifically concerned with, and not necessarily the whole township. Right? They may not care as much about parks and recreation. But
Crazy talk.
or vice
Or
versa.
you could do, we love Parks and Recreation.
Yes, we love
But
Parks
we
and
can't
Rec.
stand trash, so I don't want to
I'm
get
sorry.
on trash.
Okay, now I
Yeah,
understand.
that was the way I was thinking of it.
Specific topics.
Yeah.
So backwards. And then the ability, because I just saw it over here too, kind of, but the ability to report pertinent information, but that's coming from the community. So also to be able to receive information from the community, receive it literally, like receive it, and then also figuratively, like, and have, if there needs to be feedback on it, be able to provide that feedback. And that's what the being interactive, I think, as much as possible is that everyone can feel like they have a say, they have a value, and living in the community.
That's great.
Yeah, and like reporting that activity, things like the current website has this, I don't know if everybody knows it or uses it, but like if you wanted to report a pothole, you wanted to report, my neighbor's grass is too tall, I think you should send the code department out to, get a, and like, you'd be shocked and no, you really wouldn't. I mean, I need a bike lane on Belvoir Road, like, these are real. So, you're laughing, but I'm telling you. It's true.
Imagine.
So, but it's people's ability to tell us what they want. Do you know what I mean? Or, something like that. But, yeah.
And then, if I may, so going back on the texting thing is, some people might be disconnected and unplugged from social media, so they're not, and maybe not even browsing the internet. So everyone has text message.
Right.
Brings us all together, right? So that's something no one would miss. It's not that inconvenient. You don't have to go searching for anything. It gets sent to you. Rather than going out into these platforms where you have to sift through other posts and such.
I think it's good too because it doesn't get lost in the mix as much as like email does. Like
Right.
a lot of people have email and not social media,
Yeah.
but like
But you
I
sign
get
up
like
to all this stuff.
300 emails
Yeah.
a day,
Yeah.
and then
Mhm.
the next thing I know, that's buried.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, and there's a lot of use cases out there by townships around us that have a function like that. And I think it's an attractive one, so that's why that is there.
And we just put the robocalls on because I don't want people to forget that we have Code Red for emergency declarations and
I'm
things.
signed up for that.
Yeah, and you go on the website. Sometimes people will say, "Well, why didn't I get that notice that you're going to spray for mosquitoes or have to boil my water or whatever you have to do?" Well, you have to sign up. You have to opt in, and sometimes people want to opt out. It's like when you get too many calls and you say, "Why am I'm being disturbed?" They're calling me, whatever. But you can say, "I want a phone call, or I want a text, or I want an email." One of them,
Right.
3 of them. What you can say what you want, but you have to sign up for it because otherwise you might not get something that you do want.
I think it's a great thing to have the Code Red. The issue I have personally is that I didn't know you had to go on the website and opt in for them. So all of a sudden, like, I don't know how I got it, but my husband got his, whatever. We lived here for a long time, so I have it now. But I was like, how are you getting all the messages on your phone and I'm still getting phone calls? Like, what is happening right now? And he's like, well, didn't you opt in? I'm like,
Opt what?
Like, I got 100 things going on. What are you talking about? Opt in for what, right? And so it is good, but I don't know how we get it out to people who don't have it now. Like, this is what you need to do to get those messages.
Yeah.
And you know what,
Yeah.
Dawn, when it first started, Verizon, it really started before people had cell phones, or everybody had cell phones, and they were able to get the Verizon listing of listed and unlisted telephone numbers, and everybody had a landline, and that's how it started. But you didn't have to sign up in the beginning because, Verizon knew your phone number and they were calling your home. And
Is that still possible though, to send something to somebody and say,
Hasn't signed
if
up.
you want to continue receiving this information, you can, or you can opt out?
I
Or is
think-
that not
I don't
possible
think
anymore?
Oh, with the Code
there's
Red?
so few people with landlines anymore.
Do you know
Yeah.
if they still go through the landlines?
Oh yeah, it does go through the landline.
Like, I had my
Yeah,
phone
I
for
have a
years, but
landline
never
and-
had a phone.
Yeah.
And like, we just canceled it, but it was probably going through, like, the township
Yeah.
never would have known that I wasn't getting it because
Yeah.
it was cheaper with Verizon to keep your landline
Yes,
than
that's
to
why
cancel it. And I'm
it's a
like,
triple bundle's
you know, I
cheaper
think
than
I'm getting all these
double
messages.
bundle.
I have no idea what's happening.
Right.
Yeah,
Pick up our phone.
exactly.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
That's why people text me now. They're like, what are you doing? It's great.
So that sounds like a great conversation, Team Blue Pen, and I mean, a couple of really big things that I heard. So it sounds like text. It sounds like some level of customization or opt-in, like give me what I want, not the other stuff, whatever it is, whether it's Code Red or anything else. And I heard sort of like that push and pull of information too. Like there's some stuff we have to just tell people about, and some things that get it if you want it, ask for it if you want it, and we'll send it.
I also think it's really important that we don't make the community have to jump through too many hoops to get the information. Because that's, we don't want to impose that on anybody. So we always got to keep that in our mind as well.
Simple.
Yeah.
When thinking ahead.
All right, good stuff. Any other comments from people who are not part of Team Blue Pen? See some consistency in some of the things your group's talked about?
We talked about text messages too.
So did we?
Yeah. So all right, why don't you guys tell us a little bit about it?
You want to talk? You want to talk? I don't care.
So,
Stephanie can talk.
okay, so Plymouth, it's easier. The community center does a great job with communicating what's what, what's where, how you find it, what events are happening, and when they're happening. So my parents still have their house phone. They get the calls. I don't have a house phone. I don't receive the phone calls. The only way I know that something is going on is because I'm at their house and I answer their phone and I know that it's happening. So we were saying 99.999% of people have a cell phone, so they're going to be able to get the text message blast. The only thing is that if we do go this route, you have to make sure that everybody knows that it is like when you get your bank fraud alerts, that it comes from like that 5 or 6 digit number. If it comes from a big phone number, like a 10 digit, it's fraud. So we just have to make sure that if we do go that route, that the community knows that when the text message is coming, it's coming from this specific number. If you receive anything else, it's been hacked and we don't want to go there. But they were also saying, like, even this morning, the AI, like, the grandmother's getting a call that the grandson or granddaughter is in an emergency. So come up with a safe word that, like, your grandmother or your family will know. So, like, the AI comes into play, but we just need to make sure that they know, okay, it's going to be, if we get a text message from Plymouth, it's going to be from number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they'll know that it is from us. So text message versus leaving a message. So this app here, I was actually talking to one of my friends, and I was at baseball just now telling her that I was on this advisory committee when she lived in New York. This was the app that they used to remind. That was the text message blast, and it was very effective in getting all the information out, like school lockdown, because she's a teacher or something like that. So that was just one of the apps that she told me. Now, we talked about the opt-in for events and emergencies. You could opt into certain things, opt out of certain things. But then other things that, like, just we kind of talked about were, my sister had to do IVF. She had all of her needles after she was done IVF. Even though they were in the red waste bin, she calls me, she's like, what do I do with them? I'm like, well, you don't throw them in the trash can because somebody could get their hands on them that don't need them. Well, we called the police, we called the fire department, we called EMT. Nobody knew what to do.
Did you call Chris Vasciava or Karen Weiss? Because they know what to do. I know what to do with them.
So they said as long as they're in the red bin, you can throw them in the trash. And I'm like, I don't think that's a really good idea.
I'm looking at that medical voice. What does that mean?
I'm like, can we drop them off to you? And they're like, no. So
the
for somebody
proper way?
like that, people who
Use insulin every day?
Like even like the
if they
drugs
never-
that you have to get rid of your
syringe?
narcotics
Yeah.
and things like
Right,
that
that's
after
what she's
surgery. But we were thinking like if that's one of the tabs on the website or something that's like
How do I
medical weights,
dispose
like,
of?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like disposal of
Large,
things
bulky
and have that
items?
as one of the
large
options.
items, and then another thing.
They
This
used
was
to do-
me like 3 years, well, 6 years ago.
You used to
now.
do
But car seat installation, like I know it just happened real quick. Car seat installation, like
Yeah.
they don't,
We
they
used to do it. We don't do it anymore for the
So-
viability of it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a
So
liability
is
thing.
there
We
some
used to have
place
an
that
officer
they
trained
could go
to do it.
to have that? Because if you don't have a car seat, you're not leaving the hospital. So, like, this was more like personal stuff that we talked about, especially with the pills and the needles and everything like that. But website-wise, but mass communication texting.
So does anybody want to know how to get rid of your syringes, your needles?
That's an
We're trying to know
The
now.
proper way. I mean, this is how we would tell you to do it if you called Chris or me. So you get your Tide detergent bottle, the real thick one, and you put them all in there. You just put the lid back on, and you put it in the trash. They'll be burned at the trash and steam plant, and that's how we get rid of them.
And that's
from home use.
So they said.
That's the proper way to get rid of them.
Yeah.
So you're right. If you just put them in the trash, I mean, they're going to poke somebody, and that would be really bad. So if you stick them in a really hard plastic, and then don't recycle it, but put it in the trash.
That's what they said. It had to go in the trash,
Has to
but
go in the
as
trash,
long as
it'll
it
get
was in
burned.
those
Yeah.
medical
they have the medical
disposal bins.
disposal things too.
Is
Sometimes
it
they
really
get into
hard?
that.
Is it a
Yes.
real hard
Yes.
plastic? Oh, yeah. Well, you
Yes.
can put that in the trash can then.
So that's what
You
they
can't
said.
get the needles
but,
out.
like, we didn't know. So you can't just put needles in the trash can. But if somebody's digging through your trash and then there's all
Get
the
stabbed.
needles
Yeah.
that like.
Yeah. No, that wouldn't be good.
So that was just.
So are we maybe talking about having something like a frequently asked question thing for like each area of the website? Something.
Something where
Yeah.
public stuff
Yeah.
is.
That's always a good option.
To me, it sounds like a user-friendliness factor, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
like,
And
totally, like
even a-
common
Yeah.
things that people are looking for. How do we make them more,
Right.
easy to spot?
More
Yeah,
information.
it should be right
Box
up
where
front.
you
Should
where
be
you
right
can
up
say
front
what
of
you want.
page
You know,
one.
how do I get rid of? You know.
Exactly.
We
Oh,
can even
yeah.
track like what phone calls are coming in, track what questions your neighbors are asking you or whatever, and like change them up every once in a while. Like now, if everybody knows what to do, I'm not saying
Just
take
comes
medical
up.
waste off, but
You're right.
if like everyone knows what to do with that, now the question is, you know, when do I put my Christmas tree out? All right, we've been through this how many years, but
Right.
then you know, like hear people what they're asking and be like, oh, that's a good frequently asked question. Everybody always asks that,
Right.
and update those as we go on the website.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I would suggest is to sit down with every member of the staff and just ask, who,
Departments.
what are the questions that people
Yeah,
ask?
what do you get, yeah.
And I think also you
Yeah.
can look at your current website and see what are the tabs that get clicked on the most.
Yeah.
And then you just come up with a list, and the things that are real frequent, you put them right on the front page.
Right. But for somebody who never, like, I didn't have any problem getting pregnant, so I had no idea. She calls me, I'm like, I don't know. Like, but
That's
even
what
like,
sisters are for.
Yeah, I know. I'm like that. But also, like, that could be something that in the doctor's offices that
Yeah, they should have told her.
they should have told her, but like within the township, that's still a means of communication for everybody, for businesses and for personal use. So stuff like that.
So it sounds like big ideas, text messaging again, FAQs that are frequently updated so that whatever the, like, maybe whether it's seasonally or just because something is like no longer interesting or irrelevant. The opt-in came out again.
Yeah, because you even
I
said
think
about
that's
the
it.
events,
And,
like
yeah.
when are the concerts?
Al's idea
or,
of just
like-
tracking, like asking department heads, like what are the questions you get to actually figure out what the FAQs should be? Like if we're trying to actually
Exactly, yeah.
make it easy for people to find what they want, let's figure out what they want and then answer that question.
Because like for me, I don't want to have to search on a web page to find something. I just want to be able to
That's so much fun though.
go.
So question to that point
three
though.
minutes.
You can't search in the way that you can just put it in a search box and it should come right
That's
up.
what I'm
Exactly.
Fast way.
Yeah.
Fast way to search.
Yes.
Yeah.
See what
Search
it does.
box.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was just elevating your idea
Right.
about having a search box because I don't particularly like to read through FAQs because after all that time I'm going to find out my question's not in there. Right?
And then you're on the next thing,
Right.
and then you go in a rabbit hole.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So
And it's an hour later.
So it'd be nice, technologically wise, if there were, I was telling my team about like using ChatGPT to find things. So if there was a way that there was a search bar, and the way ChatGPT works, it searches the web, right? But if we could have this where it searches our
Yes.
web and spits out the information. That way, you don't necessarily have to worry about, okay, you know, the seasonality aspect of it or the changing nature aspect of it, right? It's just, it's still there, and if you want it,
Pop.
the magic will find it for you.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you've ever been interested to look at the township code, you can do that.
yes.
So you can search like, sidewalk, fence or whatever, and although it's very cumbersome and you might not find exactly what you're looking for, but it does have that capability. I don't know if the general website does.
So our website does have a search bar, but when you ask it for something, it gives you like a lot of interesting results, like articles or pages that contain a keyword that you also have put in there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work super well. I'd be interested to see what kind of tools are out there.
Yeah, for
To
a
make
more
that-
refined
So
search.
you have to know the exact like little phrase and
Right.
put it in like quotation marks for it to come right to what you want. Because otherwise you might get 400 hits.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
it'd take a long time to find.
So it sounds like the desirable concept here is really customized, user-friendly search functions.
Convenience.
Yeah.
Cool. Good stuff.
What,
Thank you,
what
friends.
color are they?
That's Team Brown Pen.
Oh, brown.
Team Brown Pen?
It looks, it's brown.
It looks
but-
olive.
Yeah,
It looks olive.
Right.
Totally,
That's what I was
Yeah,
saying.
it's
It looks- I
I
just was
stand
wondering
corrected.
if you had a different view of it.
Team olive.
Okay. Team Olive, thank you. Team Red?
Yes, Team
Is
Red.
that okay,
well,
Red?
You've done a lot of what you've done before. Easy access to the website for forms to make it easier for people to access it. We were talking about people, you had mentioned about the trash, something about the visibility of trash for people. It's easy to find out when their trash days are on, not on, and so they don't have to keep calling you. Someone brought up about the zoning questions. Remember about that, what that was? People
Yeah, I
Oh,
was saying it would be nice if if you were following a particular issue, if you could opt in essentially to be able to get notifications for that. If like meetings were rescheduled and all of that. Because, I mean, if you're the one applying for whatever it is, then you know. But you might be following it and not be the person that's named in it.
The other thing you were saying, Kristen, related to zoning questions was just like, what zone do I live in, right? like, I have to go pull out my voter registration card, you know, my 3132. So, you know, that could be just a simple way to engage folks so they like just see a map.
So
Here's where-
so they're on there.
Yeah.
So
I'm
but
sure.
they
I'm
are, so
sure.
but you don't know what it is, right? So a way to find it, like to search it, but so we have a voting district map. It's on there. We have a zoning map. You're in A, B, C, D, you know, or you're in 3-1, 3-2, you know,
Yeah.
1-1. But I think there's a lot of information there. People just don't know how to search it or how to get it.
Yes.
And pull it out.
And
see
that's
it
what we
quickly
were
and easily.
getting at.
And then we're saying,
No,
like, I think
because
that's
it's
part of
all
what
on
we were
there.
saying with the procedure stuff, is like, if I need to get a permit for something, it would be nice if it was easy to be able to see, okay, what are the steps I need to do that? Or
Yeah.
if I need to apply for a variance or something like that, what do I need to do that? If it was all just like laid out there for you.
Like easier than it is because it's all there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
saying, I'm
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
not saying it's not there.
It's just how I find it.
Not trying to suggest that, but just more
Yeah.
accessible.
Okay.
I feel like there's this thing,
simpler,
so
simpler to find.
for a while I did social media management, and there's a thing where if you're in an app and you have to click through too many times, people just stop doing it. You're never going to sign up for
You
the
gotta
thing.
keep it simple.
Yeah.
Simple.
So I feel like it's
Give up.
that same idea. If I have to go through too many pages, I'm like,
So I have a
The
thought.
challenge is zoning is complex to begin with.
I
So-
know.
So we gotta
Right.
find a way to bridge it. Because
Yeah.
like, well, A1 versus B1. And,
Right.
And it's different in other townships. It's different in our townships.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what we gotta figure out.
Yes.
Bring it
Or
in.
R1 or
Right.
2, we
Right.
don't call
Right.
it that.
Right.
Right.
I have a thought related to the idea about I was thinking, what about an address search? Where you just type in your address and your trash schedule comes up, who your council person is.
Or ever- or
what
ever-
district
or
you're in.
everything.
Everything, all of it.
Yeah.
Talk
Oh,
about
wow.
customization.
That's a good one. I
Because,
like it.
No, it is.
you know,
Because a
voting
lot,
district,
a lot
your
is
trash
related
Yeah.
to your address.
and
That's a great idea.
also,
That is great.
by the same
The council person,
token,
state
you
rep.
could also send out an email blast. You could have a little function on there that you could say, opt in, tell me when trash is not being picked up. And then a text would go out a few days ahead of time. It might take some experimenting to figure out what the best time is. But then people would know, no trash is this Friday,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know. And it would just be
Right. I love
customized to
it.
them.
Yeah,
That's
no, that's
great.
And then once one or two people got that service, they tell their neighbors about it.
Exactly.
So you can go sign up and get this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse like putting your trash out.
Bring it
Well,
back.
And it
trash is
doesn't go out.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
then
they
you just
don't
leave
pick
it out, and then it
Yes,
stays
to get
out,
it.
and then the wind blows, and then
now it's all
and then
up
you're
on the
picking
street.
it up. Like,
Yeah.
we've
till
been
The
there.
squirrels, the
Well,
squirrels.
see, for me, I've always had that. I mean, except in my case, it's called my neighbor.
I was gonna say, wait till you're
I
elected to
just go out and
council
look.
and your neighbors care about when your other neighbors put out the trash. And I'm putting out the trash
Or
every
they,
day.
or
It's
do
not
they look,
supposed to
do
go
they
out
look
at all.
at, do they look at you, they follow what you do, and, you know, if you put it out, then they'll put out, if you don't, there's usually a
That's
reason.
the whole street.
I'm using that, and I'm not telling my neighbors I'm putting the trash out, and I'm gonna be the only one getting my trash. How did you know that? Oh, it's secret, man, I can't tell you. It's all in the background. No.
So where are we here?
All right, different age groups and surveys.
Text
We
again.
use like different forms of communication, and we were thinking, what if we surveyed the community and see what types of communication they prefer and what information they're looking for?
Well, because like my grandmother's generation is going to prefer the phone call.
Mm-hmm.
Me,
Right.
text me. I don't want to talk to you.
Mrs. Bethel wants to sit on television.
Yeah.
She doesn't have a cell phone or a computer. Comes to every meeting. She just tells us. You know,
Yeah.
it's probably very
Right.
few people,
Yeah.
and anymore, a lot of people are switching from Comcast or Verizon, they're just going to like YouTube TV or something.
Yeah.
So I think as time goes on, there'll probably be fewer and fewer people
Right.
with cable
Right.
TV,
Right.
right?
Definitely.
But your grandmother's generation, like
Right.
Mrs.
They
Bethel,
don't
she,
do that.
she comes and says
'Cause
that.
I-
Like, I have
I
no
mean,
cell phone or no computer.
I would
watch
like,
TV.
that's
She
true.
says,
I
I watch
wanted
TV.
TV.
You like TV?
I would want to sit back, and if I wanted to
Yeah.
know, like I say,
Yeah.
I would flip to the channel where they tell me the week's events, and I would much rather that than anything.
Like
on the
when you
phone?
go to a hotel,
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
it pops up everything that you can get done.
Sometimes the little towns around the hotels too, you can watch that.
Yes, you're right.
So I'm just saying that for me too, the television is
Yeah.
like it's peaceful. I can like
Yeah.
catch
So
it
the idea
at
is
my
just to
time.
be sort of flexible and user-friendly, like have a variety of ways people get
Right,
information, so
exactly.
they don't feel like, I don't have a
Excluded.
computer, I'm just left out.
Especially now, right? Because a lot of, even not just me, but people feel like they're being watched anyway. And so when you force them to go one way, you know, they start rebelling against that. I don't want to sign up for this. I don't want that. You have too much information. And so, yeah, being able to just give them different platforms.
Your phones
Yeah.
and your
So
Alexas
the
are
different
listening to
access.
everything going on in your house.
You just also have to make sure that the automated system will then leave a voicemail. Because like I know when sometimes at my grandmother's house, we won't even answer the phone because it's spam.
Right.
So
Yeah.
just have to make sure that it will leave a message on the voicemail then for if they opt in that way, so that they can still receive the communication. I don't answer phone numbers. I don't know on my phone either. I let it go to voicemail. So just have to make sure that it does leave a message then.
Sounds good. Anything else, Team Red? Cool, good stuff. All right, with Black Pen, Phil, Chris?
There's not a lot here that we didn't already cover. I think we just talked about as a group here finding, what is the quickest and easiest way to get people information. Quick and easy. People like quick and easy. We had mentioned about, whatever we're using, whether it's a new website or some things, that you sort of regularly refresh the appearance so that when people see it, it looks new and it draws their attention. We had a good conversation about trying to figure out what information do we need people to, or do we want people to go and find, and what information do we want to push out to them. So what's most appropriate to have there for information for the pool, what's most appropriate to be pushed. The quality and the quantity of what is pushed, if you start pushing out too much stuff, it's like the emails that you just delete before you read, or the mail that you get that you just throw right in the trash can. If you really want the communication to be effective, you probably need to find the best quantity and quality of what it is that you're putting out there. And of course we mentioned, and we had done this as a group before we started this, but let's not be afraid to look at what places do it really good already, and why reinvent something that's already there. And then, as we just had mentioned too, with different age groups, different demographics, what is the best way to reach people? And I would just add, add Audible, call an Audible, I'll add something to the list that we didn't put. Just hearing everything here, I think the reality is that we could do everything. We could do everything. And there's still going to be people that say,
Oh, yeah.
what fun. I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know
I didn't know.
that.
100%.
Like, there's nothing worse than to say, well, where was that at? I didn't know that. That was on Facebook for the last 13 days. But at the very least, I think as a township, we would want to be able to, if people say that they don't know this or they didn't know that, at least be able to give them an answer and say, well, it's there. Or here's how you go to get it. Here's how you go to get it. Because you'll never satisfy everybody. But the worst answer would be, you're right. There is nowhere to find that information. So.
Or you got 10 clicks to get to it.
Right. Correct.
Yeah, so that's an important point. If, the staff has to know how to,
Direct people. to
direct
get it.
people
Yeah.
on the, whatever communications we have.
And, keeping that website fresh and stuff, you could take pictures of within whatever's happening in the township every quarter. I don't know what it is. Like, I obviously you can't put kids out there because parents don't want kids on websites, but you could say like, okay, somebody just built trees at JFK Park. That could be like your website picture for April. And then for May, like we're doing something else. And you could change those pictures up every month to kind of keep it fresh, but it keeps you within the township as to what's happening. Or even put them in there ahead of time. So in February, put April stuff. Don't forget we're doing this in April and have rotating pictures in and things like that to keep it fresh.
Yeah, we were even talking about like, just in case you've never been to a council meeting, like the front end of meetings, there's usually some fun stuff. There's recognitions, swearing in new officers. I mean, there's like good things. Not that the rest of it isn't good, but like things that people come to take pictures of, people bring their families to, and like that's a perfect, right, place
Pop
to
those pictures in there.
pop them in. I mean, our police department does a great job if any of the officers are sworn in or recognized. They do a great job of getting the picture. They put it on their website or their Facebook page.
For May, put in
Yeah.
the thing, what's the recognition at the Villanova Ball Field
Yeah.
for like Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah,
That's like
Veterans
one
Day,
of the better
Veterans
stuff
Day
in there for that.
ceremonies, yeah.
The only other thing I would say is just maybe that you brought the police up, partnering with the police department, in line with communication as well, because like, I'm not sure everybody knows in here, but back on Narcissa and Hickory and Anthony, there have been 4 robberies in the last few months. Not everybody knows that who lives back there, and that's important if you could just target that area to be like, hey, make sure that you're keeping your alarm on because this is happening in this area. So, I mean, for me, like, that's important too. I have family that lives right back there, but if we weren't in tune with what was going on, like some of the neighbors had no idea it was occurring. So something like that would be good to communicate as well.
I think it's good to put that out there no matter where it is, to the whole community.
So do you
We've
think
had
it
some things
needs-
going on in our neighborhood as well, and
Yeah.
I think the more people that know, the more people, like, they just become aware.
Right.
We also
So-
have like, well, I live in Black Horse, so we have like
Okay.
a Black Horse website.
You do
that's
have it,
out
yep.
there.
I see it.
That, you
Uh-huh.
know, like, everybody's posting stuff like lost dog and over here, and this is happening, and whatever else is
Exactly.
happening.
Yeah.
Even like, have communities, like, give them that, you know, push, like, hey, maybe you should set this up for your community as well, or, you know, whatever it is. You know, we're talking all the time, but, you know, it gets cold outside, and you don't know what's going on, and we had some stuff at Christmas time happen, and
Right.
everybody kind of jumped in and was like, oh, that happened to us, and found out that these kids went through and just slashed a whole bunch of things.
All
And
the things, yep.
like, it was, you know, they found them within hours
Right.
because everybody was communicating. It
So,
was-
But also it might be a deterrent too for criminals.
Right.
Or
You're
Yeah,
right.
true.
petty
It's
criminals.
true.
Yeah.
If they
Because
know
if,
we're all
yeah,
communicating.
if people
Right.
know eyes that are looking for them, and
Yeah.
or that's going to make it harder for them to accomplish what they're trying to do, it could be a deterrent as well.
Even if
Just
somebody's
a
over
thought.
there driving and they see something, they're like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna call the cops, because I heard there's some break-ins over here. There's some people
Right.
walking around that I don't, you know, that don't look like they should be there. I don't know.
right.
So I have a question though. So the police have the crime watch. They do post these things on their Facebook. You know, the community center posts a lot of things like on their Facebook. Do you feel that the township website also has to have that on their Facebook, or is it okay that the park stuff is with the parks, the police stuff is with the police?
Or
do
maybe
you
connect too,
or do you
Might be
want
helpful.
it?
right? Like,
Again, like that's, I
We
mean.
don't wanna be
to me, it's-
redundant,
To me,
but-
again, it's already out there, so where's it missing?
But-
It's there.
But if you're
It's
not
in- if
checking-
you're on the township.
Checking and you're not,
You're not
following
checking.
each individual.
Then you
Ah,
don't know.
So
The
push,
people
push
kind of-
something to the people.
Correct.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I mean, for
Push
people to
the
call the
message.
community center about trash, right, is like a disconnect for me. But if that's the number they know. So I
Right.
feel like there needs to be a way to connect it all. You don't have to repeat the information, but
Yeah, I
if you can
wouldn't
click
think.
through to get to the police website,
Yeah.
to get to the township, to get to the community center. Did I say that? Police community center, whatever.
Right.
Like, if you have those links on the
Exactly.
overall Plymouth website.
Yeah.
Township website.
Because,
those
like,
are all
you're,
right-
that's the
they're
thing,
all
if I'm
right there.
on,
Yeah.
Yes, but remember,
if I'm on
I don't go
clear,
to
clearer
township
view.
website.
Like things are
Oh,
so
yeah, I know.
disparate.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the town, what I'm hearing is that it's not as much the content, it's the visibility, accessibility pieces of it.
And, yeah, and I think even with that, I think what we're saying too is, like, mine is doing the full inventory, which you have mentioned. Like you're saying, it's there, and maybe haven't visited the website in a while, so some of the thoughts and things are coming from a place of not knowing versus visiting the website, and then also taking that feel and then enhancing it. You know what I mean? So, yes, everything could be there.
I'm wondering if you
So I-
took the website, like the Plymouth Township website, and you put a link in for the police department, and you put a link in for the community center.
Already
Because,
there.
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, because if I go to the community center and I don't know what to do, and then I call for trash, again, that's kind of crazy. But then at the same time, have the GPC website and the police website link you back into Plymouth. So you would have that connection, because I'm not gonna go into three. Like, if I'm being honest,
Right.
I'm not going into police, GPCC, and Plymouth Township. So if I go into Plymouth Township and I can't find the link, if I can't find what's happening at the community center, okay, then I'm done. Like, I'm just not gonna.
Right, but you're not going to the community
waste-
center to look up for robberies.
Right.
Like you're
So
going to
now
the
baffled.
police, but if
Right,
it's
but
not
if I can
there,
just go to
but
Plymouth Township
It's
And
on there
hit
by
that-
department.
And hit that
I
link.
have
One of the things I think we need to differentiate is between websites and social media.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
so, because social media is quicker, right? It's instantaneous.
Blast,
almost.
yeah.
And the website's a little more, I don't know.
Cumbersome?
Cumbersome,
That's
yeah.
the word.
So it's a little more formal, but yeah, I mean, it's a good question, but maybe there's a way we could put like a, you know, I want police information, I want to go to their Facebook page. I just hit that on the website and it takes me to it. And then I follow it, right? Because that's what you guys are saying. I want to follow the police because they put those stats out there.
They do,
Right?
they do.
But I don't know to follow that if I'm just following the townships. So
And I
what,
think there's so much information out there. I
Yeah.
think you're right. I think there's a lot of information on the township. Like you're
Right.
talking about the maps and all these things that
Right.
link. I don't know that because I don't even go on it.
right.
Like if it's not on Facebook or if I don't need something,
So that,
then
so
I'm
that's,
not.
Yeah.
so that's it. If it's not on
Yes.
Facebook, then
Right.
that's where you get everything.
Well, that's
Right.
where, well,
Yeah.
That's
because,
something to know.
because when
Right.
I look, like I have
Right,
a
because that's
posting
where
from
some
the.
people get all their
Yes.
information.
Well, I have
Exactly.
100%.
The
All the
posts that
time.
come through
Right.
So
from the
that
police
is true.
department.
Yeah.
Like,
Social
Because
media.
I'm like, it's all there on the website.
Right,
the
but if
postings
you don't
come
go
through
on it,
from,
why
like on
it's hard to
Facebook,
find,
right? So you
but-
just had the, I don't know, somebody got robbed or Home Depot or something. It just came through from Plymouth. This is
Right.
what we
Yeah.
did to do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I've seen it. But I'm not taking my time to go into Plymouth Township
And search for
to
that.
find all that information. So I think it's also the ease, and I think people, okay, we'll just say this person is lazy. I'm going the easiest way. Like,
Which
Jay
is
is full of
which
stuff.
is
Not alone
which is
that way.
Facebook.
Not alone
Like,
that
No,
way.
you're
it's
not.
fine,
No,
but,
but it means,
you know,
but
don't ever tell my kids that, but yes.
But for you, that is Facebook, right? But that's what I'm.
That's what I use because
Right.
I'm old
And
and
if
that's what I
a
use.
lot
I'm
of
not on
people
Instagram.
Right, but it's also
Facebook, that's-
convenient because you're already on there, right? You're following some
So
other
just
things,
use
yeah.
it. Oh, yeah,
Right.
did you know this happened? And
Right,
then,
right,
you know.
yeah.
So we generally mirror, if there's a posting, we mirror it and we send it out everywhere. For the most part, I think like the IT department and whoever updates the website, we could probably do a little bit better job. But yeah, we definitely mirror everything. So people that are just on Facebook are getting what's getting on the website. But the exception of we're not going to post every document that's put up on the website.
Right.
So because that could become also maybe
Overwhelming.
redundant or overwhelming for a Facebook user to just constantly
Right,
see
yeah.
posts and posts and posts from Plymouth Township.
But
So
for
that's
me, the
something we
question
can
is,
improve on.
what do you need to do to get me to go on Plymouth Township's website to find out what's happening in my town?
Well,
And that's kind of the trigger.
Yeah.
Like, all this stuff is great, but if you want to know why I'm not on there and why I'm on Facebook, that's the question we have to answer. What is it that I'm not doing?
I go to the community center website when I want to find out something that's happening. I do not go to the township website.
But is the item you're looking for at the community center, or is it like when is my trash getting picked up? Because Phil doesn't really know that.
See, I don't really look for my trash
You know,
pickup. I just
he doesn't have. I mean, he might know.
Even
but-
now,
Here's what I would suggest, because I think this is a great conversation. I think it gets us to exactly where we need to go next.
Yeah. Where do people look?
So, let's start with, how about this? Like, we are a microcosm of the township. Without, Karen, you don't get to play this game. Without Karen answering, because Karen knows all the answers, I would love for us collectively to list, like, what are all the places we get information from the township?
I'm
Okay?
gonna right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And here's what I'm thinking. Tell me if you think this makes sense. I'd like to see us list all the places. And then if there's things that we're missing, like, no, really? We had no idea there was a Facebook page. Like let's highlight it. We'll let Karen play at the end. So she'll fill in the gaps.
I also
And-
think it would be helpful to ask people in the community, where do you get your information from?
Yes.
So each of us asks 20 people, where do you get your information from? And then come up with a
I love
collective
that.
unit.
I love that. And here's what I would suggest we do with this list. And tell me if you agree or disagree. So let's get our list together of all the resources that currently exist for communication. Karen will make sure we're not missing anything. And then between this meeting and the next, I would suggest the group does two things. One, exactly what Stephanie said. Now that you know the list exists, what if everybody went out and talked to 10 friends and neighbors or 20 friends and neighbors and said, like, where do you get your information? And let's do a little informal survey about, where people get information, what they like, what they don't. Also, what if everyone took some time, or maybe we divide and conquer, but if you haven't looked at our website, maybe we should go look at it. And go look and see, like, what do I love and what do I hate? Go look at our Facebook page. What do we think works, what doesn't? So once we have the inventory, then we can do two things. We can query friends and neighbors about what they use, what they like, what they don't, and then let's go create our own impressions as well. Does that sound like a good next step?
Yes, and.
And I like it.
have
Keep
to
going.
add.
Keep going. I like it.
I think it's important to also ask what type of information,
Oh,
Okay.
right?
Yes. I like that.
Because
Yep.
where do you go
Yep.
depends on what
What you're
type.
looking
for.
I'm
Yeah.
often on the fastest, but when I need to find township minutes, I don't want to look at that on my little phone,
Right.
right?
Right.
So it's really about what the information is. that
Love
I'm
it.
looking for.
Yeah,
we
so
need to
where do you
ask
go and
different
what are you
age
looking
groups.
for?
Yeah,
Sorry?
we need to pull different age groups. Like
Yeah.
I can't ask everybody.
Yes.
Like it needs to be
Okay.
a
I
variety
probably
of
try
age
to
groups.
vary your
Yeah.
I love it.
your demographic.
All right, so let's get our inventory together, and then we'll specify our survey plan, and then we'll go for it. Okay, Dawn's got a pen in her hand. It's orange. It's color we've not used yet. What are all the places that you currently know exist that or where you get information about the township?
Facebook.
Meta. It's like, what is that?
That
People
is
say
what
that.
it's called now, yeah.
Facebook.
Okay.
Facebook?
So, I get that little mailer thing.
In the sewer?
No, not the sewer thing. There's a booklet that comes and lists all the activities. It comes- Newsletter, that's it.
Okay. Newsletter?
You get it in your
Yeah.
email or
It- it-
paper?
Paper. Comes in the mail.
All right.
Is it from the community center or from the township?
So we went,
I know.
so we went electronic a few years back. Oh, well.
Hold
Well,
that
maybe
thought.
I'm-
Don't give them the answer. Let's see what,
I've been around a while.
let's see what people are aware of.
Community center one.
She
Is
comes,
that okay?
They'd be fine.
Yeah.
we hand it to her right from the door.
Oh, really?
We stop and tell her.
All right.
Right, we're always latest, we have signs, right?
Okay.
Instagram.
Instagram? Is that Instagram?
You're on
GBCC?
Instagram for information, not for fun?
You can do a nice
Okay, what else? Where else are we seeing information from the township or gathering information as needed? Let's, website, I mean, that exists, we know
Yeah,
it does.
website.
Let's throw that in there.
I get information from that more than a curve thing.
Oh, God.
Hey, you said it. We got to pull the
Read
list.
that.
I'm just saying. I get
You
news, I
gotta come
get
up with, you gotta come up with
MTC.
I get information from there. Is that one of my news feeds? What am I supposed
Because it also,
to do?
yeah, it drops in your email, right?
It drops, it tells me my local area, I read a couple things.
That's
I
true.
get- You ask what I do, I'm telling you.
No, I'm good.
What happens here stays
Should
here.
I give you any crap?
Because
What about neighbors?
Neighbors, the grocery store.
Neighbors.
And the park, East Plymouth Valley. That's a very big information place.
At East Plymouth Valley Park?
Oh, yeah, the people get together there, they talk. Absolutely, yeah. I was at the baseball
East
game
Plymouth
and my
Valley
neighbor
had the
told
firehouse?
me
I know, but it
this
was
was gonna happen.
East Plymouth
Yeah.
Valley, EPV.
Yeah, absolutely, right?
Okay, what else? Is there any
Yeah,
other way?
I actually read the bulletin boards in here.
That's
Do
what
we
we're-
already do
The
email?
digital ones too?
I do read
No,
the digital at the
not yet.
firehouse.
No.
Digital ones?
I read that all the time.
I might catch the one.
You read
at
the
mall.
digital boards? Okay. So bulletin boards here and digital boards at the
People talk,
firehouse.
Yeah, there you go.
This,
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah, leisure, yeah. Yeah.
This. And it comes
Yeah.
to your
What
email.
information are you getting from there?
Oh,
Everything.
right?
There's so much in
is
here.
that, do I no longer?
For
do I
your
no longer-
6-year-old? It's like my 6-year-old.
No, it's about special events and everything. Honestly,
right. What
like
else,
movies in
friends?
the park.
What else goes
Email,
on Dawn's
email.
list? Email? I am aware of the fact that we asked you just for 8:30 and it's like 8:27.
And I do have to leave at 8:30, but don't be offended if I get it. But I actually,
Okay.
sorry,
close
I
to it,
apologize.
too.
If anyone else needs to leave,
Okay.
it's totally
Only 'cause I
okay.
gotta
Maybe
get
if we
up.
take 10 minutes, we
now
can
I
kind of
know.
wrap up. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Technically,
All right, is there anything else, any other forms of communication that you currently use to gather information when needed around the township?
Oh, what about the electronic boards we
Yeah, we
talked
got
about?
the digital bulletin boards.
Oh,
Yep,
it's right there.
Okay. Karen, what did we miss? What exists today that has not been discussed?
Well, I just looked over at Brandon, so you don't get any Plymouth Township information from Instagram. You might get other information. So that was the question, where do you get your township information? Or
Just
just where do you get your information?
Well, township-based
Well,
information.
community
Okay,
center,
so-
community center.
Community
is-
center.
Yeah, community
they have-
center
Yeah,
has.
Oh, they have, okay. Okay, so we do sewer mailings.
Yeah, we forgot that. Yep.
And, I mean, for emergencies, we have we have Code Red, which has
Okay.
information when.
Yeah, I've never gotten anyone from Plymouth, but I do get them from Upper Merion.
Did you ever sign up for them? You have to sign up for them.
So sewer
do?
mailings
Yes.
and
Yeah.
robocalls. Code Red robocalls.
Twitter, or X.
Twitter
Sorry.
exists, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
X, formerly
X.
Twitter.
Thank you
We
for
gotta keep up with
describing
name
on.
changes.
Yeah,
That's easy.
I miss the bird.
All right. Karen, sorry I didn't let you play earlier, but I
No,
knew
no,
that
that's
you would
okay.
know all the answers, so now you can fill in the gaps.
What did we say?
What have we missed?
Oh, robocalls.
Robocalls
Yeah,
for,
the
the
Code
robocalls
Red.
are just Code Reds, right?
Well, Code Red is the brand, is the company.
But it's
Yeah.
like emergencies, I mean, we don't robocall
Emergent,
for
no,
other
it's
things,
not
do we?
only emergencies, it's like, hey, we're doing the Brad Fox 5K, and these certain roads are gonna be closed on Saturday morning.
yeah.
It's community notifications as well. It can be, I mean, that's one they always use for community notifications.
As far as email goes, is it just the community center that sends out emails regularly now? We don't get anything from the township.
Because they use like
They
constant, you guys use
have a
constant
program.
contact.
Constant
Yeah.
contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, your
Um,
communication's great.
What about township meetings?
Yeah,
That's a,
That was
that's a
not bad
vector,
idea.
yeah,
Okay,
that's a
don't throw it
vector.
out there.
because people read the minutes, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, township meetings, the meeting minutes are available.
And they're all video on demand, like all these meetings are recorded. So they're all available on YouTube, on the website. Council meetings are shared out on social media.
And this is sort of a new thing, so you wouldn't necessarily know this yet, because there has been like one in recent years, but town halls.
Yeah.
That's something we're going to try and do a couple of times a year on relevant topics, so that it's just a forum where people, if you want to talk about plastic bags, come to the town hall.
We did postcards for the first time in a while.
No, it's not the extended stay.
Or do your manager.
Just to have
Extended
like
stay.
the
Okay.
Want that one?
So-
Oh, yeah, postcards.
Karen and Brandon, did we miss anything that goes on the
What a
agenda?
company.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we hadn't done it in a while. Yeah. Just a refresher.
All right, so that's everything that exists. And it sounds like some things are pretty well known and well utilized, other things sort of lesser known, and some things completely unknown. So we've kind of got a mix. So I think we agreed to do two things. One, and what we'll do following this meeting, we'll get this down, we'll type it up and send it out so you have a list. But I think we said, but tell me if I'm wrong, everyone would do a little querying of friends and neighbors and ask like where they get their information, what information they're looking for, what information they currently look for or regularly look for, and what they think of some of these current mediums. Facebook page or a website. So if everyone went out and asked, do we want to say 10 people? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I think
We're asking which ones they use.
yeah. So yeah, where do you get your information around the township? And maybe like what do you think of that? Like if you're like, do you use Facebook? Oh, do you love it? Do you love what you see there? Do you have any feedback? What do you like about it? What don't you like? Any, what do you think? I mean, just sort of maybe some simple questions to get, so we can get other people's opinions about what's working and what's not, and what they're using. And I don't know, do you want to ask, like, would you be interested in also asking people if they say, well, I get my information from Facebook and I get Instagram messages from the GPCC. Do you want to also ask, like, hey, did you know, like, have you ever been on the website? Like, do you want to, like, query beyond the, like, you told me this and so I wrote it down. Like, do you want to, do we want to agree to ask some additional questions? Like, what do you think of the website? Or have you ever been to a council meeting? Have you ever listened to a council meeting? Do you get the robocall? Did you know there's robocalls?
I mean, I guess we could have that conversation. One would be, I guess, depending on the people you're asking, that conversation may come organically.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
With that conversation, though, I'm just saying, I think we could do that. I don't think that's harming that.
I definitely think the website piece is a piece to add, because it just sounds over and over again like that's an area where we would like to have some improvement. Like the township already started that before this committee was brought together. Karen continued to say about all the information that's there. So if folks, I would be interested to know folks' opinion about the website, what's working, what's not working for them.
I
So
think,
specifically in the website.
because I think, yeah, the website's sort of the cornerstone, I think,
Yeah.
of the township. That's not going anywhere. I don't think there will be a time when we just really focus on Facebook. I think we do really need to focus on that as the pillar, the most important one, and then everything's supplementary from that. So, yeah, I think that's really important that we should consider.
That's great, great suggestion. So maybe what we should do, just so we're doing things similarly, maybe they don't have to be identical, but pull together just a little like one-page survey that we all kind of share.
Yep.
Including asking a question about the website, and then we could be consistent. To your point, like there could be an organic conversation, it can go a little somewhere else, but like we'll all have asked some core questions. Does that sound reasonable?
Yes.
Okay. Would anyone be ecstatic about creating a survey and sharing it with the group?
I don't mind doing it, as long as Kristen sits there with me and does
Okay, so Stephanie with light support from Kristen.
Oh, I like how you're supposed to say light support.
Or hearty support from
Yeah,
Kristen.
she's gonna make me do Hardy support.
We'll create a survey and share it with everybody. And then why don't we say, would you be willing to share it with the group and then just ask quickly for like, hey, does anybody have any feedback?
100%.
And then people can give feedback, we'll lock it down pretty quickly, and then that'll be what we use. Everybody will ask 10 people, and to Stephanie's point, try to create like a diversity of people, not just all people who live on your street who are in your demographic who think just like you do. Okay.
When would we like this survey to get to everyone by? Just
Good question. Well, what are you guys doing later this evening?
And to that question is at the next meeting, like,
Yeah.
because we didn't,
Yes.
Oh,
So we'll,
plan
yeah,
the
we'll,
next meeting.
probably wanted the results back by then, but
Yeah.
to be discussed.
yeah.
But the question is when we're given
Yes.
this.
Yes, so,
Meeting.
hold that thought for 1 second. Here's the other thing I'm wondering if we're willing to do or interested in doing between now and then. Since we're asking people for their opinions, should we also maybe, like website, Facebook, newsletter, like do we want to have people like go look at those things and actually create your own opinions? Like come back with an assessment on, like I went to the website and I dug in and here are my thoughts. Now, I don't know if everybody wants to look at the website, the Facebook, a newsletter, or if you want to say like 2 people go look at Facebook, 2 people look at the website, come back with an assessment for the group, to share. What would you prefer?
I think we should each do whatever we feel
Yeah.
comfortable doing.
Because I would say wherever you would
Okay.
ideally get your information from, or where you would want to get your information from,
Oh.
go to that place and
Or where the people that you talk to suggest
Okay.
that.
And maybe that'll
look at.
also be a data point, like if we all come back and everyone's looked at Facebook and only Facebook, then that's a data point.
Right.
For the next meeting.
but I won't
Okay.
look at Facebook.
All right. Okay, so everyone will also do their own assessment of whatever of these mediums you either use or would like to know more about, and come back with your own little assessment. Okay, so we're good so far?
Yeah.
Okay, next meeting. We can do one of 2 things. We can either tonight try and create like a, hey, could we do the 3rd Thursday of every month? Or we could go month to month and do the doodle poll and try and, get the next month out. Knowing it might be hard like for everybody to commit like 6 times over to the 3rd Thursday of the month.
Can you
Whatever.
put a poll together again and whatever worked for most?
Do it, the doodle,
Yeah.
in about a month, in about 4 weeks, 3 weeks,
Yeah.
4
Yeah,
weeks.
is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
About 4 weeks, so
Yeah.
doodle
And then just
poll,
pick a
4
common
weeks.
one, because like for me to sit here right now and be like, oh, I can't
That's fine.
do
That's
that.
what
do
I-
the poll
hard. It's a
in
lot
4
of
weeks.
people.
No,
Yeah.
the doodle poll makes it easy, but if
Yeah.
people hate the doodle poll, I'm
Sorry,
trying not to.
just easy.
So doodle poll's okay.
Yes.
About 4 weeks from now, and then we'll do that each time. As soon as we finish a meeting, we'll doodle poll for the next one, knowing it's about 4 weeks out.
Yeah,
Okay.
one month,
Okay.
yeah.
And how do we feel about 90-minute meetings?
Good.
I thought it was gonna be long, but clearly.
Clearly, we did not have enough time.
Went fast.
Yeah, I think nine
Oh,
is
it won't be an
good.
hour and a half.
That's
I think
fine.
it's- I think it's-
seems
Apparently
way too
higher.
short.
I think it's a good amount.
Okay, so.
And 7 o'clock start was good for us?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, and I assume we're all happy meeting in person versus trying to do this thing by horrible Zoom
Yes.
or
Yeah.
Teams meetings.
If I never had to do a Zoom meeting again.
Yeah, it would be too
Quite
soon.
content.
Okay, and then I will commit to making sure that gets memorialized and all of this gets memorialized so that we kind of have it. And I think we should just kind of keep trying to refine our thoughts about like this go forward, this North Star vision. Like it looks like this, it's the push, it's the pull, it's the opt-in. Like just keep refining our thoughts about what Nirvana looks like from a communication perspective so that our mediums match it. Make sense?
Yes.
Anything we could do differently in these meetings? Any other feedback just about this experience before we go forward? And
I just want to say that I think there's a lot of good information out there that we're just not all utilizing. I don't want anyone's feelings together. I think everything out there is great. I think we just need to figure out where people focus their time to get it out there.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
doing the same thing. I think this is fantastic to give them that outlet to say, hey, this is where you can get the most information and where it is. Because obviously it's out there and we're not finding it. Yeah. And I think it's great. How do we get out to those people so that they know?
cool. Thank you, Dawn. Let me ask one other question. Do you want to be able to get a hold of each other between meetings or just show up at meetings? And like, if you want to be accessible to each other, we could just pass around a list, share your contact information, and we'll share it with the group so you can find each other. Is that helpful?
That's fine.
Okay, so I'll pass that around however you want to be available to others, by phone, by fax, by teleporting, whatever it is, just put it on the list.
Is that a thing?
What's the fax? What's the fax?
I really want to tell them fast.
Me too, that's my
Yeah.
superpower.
I also still really want